Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question is, can I analyze the case of Christina Revels-Glick? Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I will put the link to Patreon in the description for this video. First, I'll look at the background of this case, move to the timeline of the crime, then offer my analysis. Christina Ashley Revels-Glick was born on October 4, 1986 in the state of Maryland. Her father's name was Donnie, and her mother's name was Cynthia. At some point, Christina earned a bachelor's degree and moved to the state of Georgia. Over the years, she lived in several different cities there, including Savannah. Sometime in the early 2000s, Christina had a son. She married and had another son. Christina divorced in 2015. As far as her career, she had several jobs, including as a real estate agent. Now moving to the timeline of the crime. On July 1, 2021, at about 5:30 p.m., the police were dispatched to the beach near 2nd Street and Butler Avenue in Tybee Island, Georgia. This is about 18 miles east of Savannah. They spoke to a woman named Sarah, who reported observing a disturbing incident on the beach. Here is what Sarah told the police. As she was sitting on the beach with her family, she saw a woman, who was later identified as Christina, walk by the family's tent several times. After this, Christina stopped in front of their tent, put a white towel on the beach, and sat down. She retrieved a sex toy from a green backpack and engaged in self-service activity. Moaning could be heard during this incident. About 5 minutes later, Christina gathered her belongings, left the area, and walked toward the Deck restaurant about 750 feet away at 4th Street and Butler Avenue. Sarah provided the police with video that was captured of the incident. Officers found and confronted Christina at the Deck restaurant. They asked her to come with them to have a discussion. At first, Christina acted as if she was confused. She had no idea why the police were talking to her. She denied any wrongdoing and said, "What did I do?" When an officer told her that she had been observed taking a solo flight, so to speak, Christina said, "That is not true." She then explained how she was by herself and no one could have seen her. Christina asked the officers if one of her buddies had called this in, as if this was some type of joke. She then abruptly changed tactics and complained that being confronted by the police was offensive to her. Immediately after this, Christina asked, "Do I get a ticket?" When the police pushed for more information, Christina acted out what she did on the beach. She said, "I'm sorry, I was stressed out." As the police handcuffed her, Christina said, "This is ridiculous. What am I being arrested for?" The police explained that a family witnessed her behavior. Christina insisted that there was no one around her. She was transported back to the police station. A sex toy was found in her backpack. As she was being processed, Christina said she was sorry for what she did. She did not think that anyone saw her because it only took her 20 seconds to reach a climax. Christina was charged with 2 misdemeanors, indecent exposure and disorderly conduct. She was released on subpoena, which means she was released without posting bail. Ultimately, the charges against Christina would be dismissed due to a tragic event. On March 31, 2022, the police were contacted by a woman named Felicity, who rented an apartment to Christina in Hinesville, Georgia, which is about an hour southwest of Savannah. Felicity told the police that she found Christina dead and decomposing in the apartment after checking on her because the rent was overdue. Here's what the police found when they entered Christina's second-story apartment. Christina's body was in a hallway in front of her bathroom. This hallway connected the master bedroom, the bathroom, and the secondary bedroom. There was a bullet exit wound on her forehead. Blood was found in several areas of the apartment. Blood spatter was on the walls of the master bedroom. A firearm was on the bed, and there was a hole in the ceiling directly above. A large amount of blood was found on the living room floor. There was blood in the secondary bedroom and tracked on the floor in the hallway. In the bathroom, blood was smeared on the mirrors and the sink. The police believed that Christina's gunshot wound was self-inflicted. Later, an autopsy confirmed this suspicion. The bullet entered through her chin, continued through the roof of her mouth and into her brain, and exited through her forehead. As far as the police were concerned, this case was closed. Christina was the shooter, and no one else was involved. Christina had been dead in the apartment for about a month before being discovered. Now moving to my analysis. Here are my thoughts on a few areas that stood out to me in this case. Item number 1. Christina was described by people who knew her as wild, out of control, and living a life of squalor. She consumed excessive quantities of alcohol and drugs. Her life appeared to be dominated by substance use. Christina isolated herself from her family members and repeatedly found herself in trouble with the law. In 2018, she was accused of stealing a car. That same year, she was arrested multiple times for public drunkenness. Family members claimed that Christina had spent some time in prison in Florida. In addition to problems with the criminal justice system, Christina was the target of civil actions, looking for unpaid rent and compensation for damaged and stolen property. Her apartment in Hinesville was frequently visited by various men, and some people believed that Christina was working as a clothing-challenged dancer. Item number 2. The police acknowledged that the circumstances surrounding Christina's death were out of the ordinary, but maintained that she was the only person involved. Despite this, some people suspected foul play. They wondered how the gunshot wound was sustained in the master bedroom, yet blood was found not only there, but in the living room, the hallway, the bathroom, and the secondary bedroom. After sustaining a gunshot wound to the head, Christina should not have been able to go anywhere, even into the hallway. A report by the downstairs neighbors added even more fuel to the murder theory. They claimed that about a month before Christina's body was discovered, which would have been around the time she died, they heard a violent commotion from her apartment. They believed that Christina was there with a man that night. They thought about calling the police, but decided against it. There is no doubt that Christina's death was unusual, but the police made a convincing argument against the theory that she was murdered. The doors of her apartment were locked, and there was no evidence of forced entry. There were no footprints in blood from another person, and no blood was found at the front door or at the back door. As bizarre and unlikely as it seems, it appears as though Christina remained alive for a few seconds or minutes after the gun discharged. The bullet must have traveled through her brain in such a way that she did not die instantly. She was almost certainly in a confused and panicked state and must have moved around the apartment before collapsing. Item number 3. The first reaction that some people have to this case is that Christina's death was tied to the self-love incident at the beach. Like that episode was so embarrassing that it propelled her into a downward spiral from which there was no return. Was this a case of a person dying from humiliation, or was Christina's death unrelated to the beach incident? Christina was arrested on July 1, 2021, and did not die until late February or early March 2022. This means the beach incident and her death were separated by about 8 months. That seems like a long time for Christina to still be thinking about the embarrassing episode, especially to such a degree that it could cause drastic action. Her story did make it all over social media and the news, but Christina was lost in a world of substance use. I don't think she was keeping up with current events. She was no stranger to being arrested. I would be surprised if Christina really cared that much about the incident. Many people had tried to find Christina for various reasons over the years, but she would often hide. For example, from civil actions. She probably never intended on returning to face the criminal charges. In my opinion, it is more likely that Christina's impulsivity and/or substance use led to her death. Item number 4. What do I think happened in this case? This is just a theory, my opinion. Christina was reckless, disorganized, chaotic, impulsive, irresponsible, erratic, depressed, excitement-seeking, had unstable mood, and was addicted to substances. On the day she was arrested at the beach, she knew exactly what she was doing. Her intent was to pleasure herself, which is why she brought the sex toy to the beach in her backpack. When Christina engaged in the self-care ritual, she was aware that a family could see her. She was looking right at the family members. It is unlikely that Christina could have missed the family watching her from a few feet away while she was staring at them. She also selected a spot directly in front of the family, Certainly, there must have been some area on the beach that was at least a little more isolated. Christina may not have deliberately selected that location to be watched, but she was at least indifferent. She did not care if anyone saw her or not. She was looking for pleasure, and nothing was going to stop her from getting it. This is how she lived her life. She always chased after the next good feeling. It's possible that Christina wanted to be watched, like she was looking for an audience for her one-person performance, but this behavior is rare in women. When it is observed, the motive is often attention-seeking, looking for help, or expressing anger. Despite Christina's decision to break the law, it is easy to have compassion for her. Her story is certainly tragic, and being arrested for such a small offense seems unnecessary and heavy-handed. Is the world really a safer place because the police took Christina into custody? Perhaps the officers should have simply directed her to leave the beach and never return. As bad as it was, the embarrassment caused by the beach incident is probably not the primary reason to feel sorry for Christina. The circumstances of her death are far more tragic. After she died, Christina's body was not discovered for a month. It says something about a person when they die under these conditions. Christina may have had a lot of male visitors, but she was not in love. She may have liked to socialize, but she had no real connections to others. Christina may have enjoyed time at the beach, but the foundation of her life was built on the sand, leaving her unstable, alone, and forgotten. Those are my thoughts in the case of Christina Revels-Glick. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They consistently generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis of this topic to be informative. Thanks for watching.